Hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3, back once again with an exclusive interview for Tru Heels BTR, Between the Ropes, or should I say Between the Raps or Between the Bars, because we got with us recording artist, motivator, podcaster extraordinaire, Monteasy. Thank you so much for your time, good brother.
Hey man, I am blessed to be here. SP3, I'm feeling good. Life is good. I'm well rested, as we spoke about before this came on. I am feeling very well, man. I'm blessed. I'm happy to be here, bro, and I'm glad to come on your platform, brother, and give you the best interview I could possibly give you, man. I'm feeling good, man.
Yes, I have a lot to live up to because I've been doing my research and seeing that you have a plethora of great interviews over on the Swerve City Podcast. You and Swerve Strickland doing your thing over there. So we're gonna put that in the description below if anybody wants to check that out. It's a great YouTube channel with some awesome interviews with Kenny Omega, Tony Khan, Chris Jericho, among others. Of course, if you're watching this for the first time, remember to drop the thumbs up on the video, share with your friends, and subscribe if you are new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. But Monteasy, we got you here because you got a big week this week, as you're gonna have your new single dropping. Prices went up with a great cast with you, with Swerve. You got Frank K, aka Top Dollar, B-Fab on the track as well. So tell us a little bit about this track, how it came together, and how you were able to get so many great artists on this track with you.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you, man. Thank you for the love and the shout out, man. I truly appreciate that. This song, man, is just another part of my catalog for my Erica Sun 2 project dropping this summer. I've been working on this album for about 2 years, and normally I don't hold on to content like that. I like to put it out, but this time I had to take my time. I really wanted it to speak on the biography of my life, but this record came about. I originally had the record, and it was just myself on it, and I was like, you know what? All those old hip hop songs back in the days where it was like a bunch of people on the record. It was like a posse record. A lot of people was on it. I said, let me get a all-star lineup. So first I was with Swerve. I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna send this to you. And he wrote his part. My man John Connor, one of the greatest rappers to do it from Detroit. Obviously, if you guys haven't, check out me and John's wrestle album called War on all distributed platforms right now. So he's like, yeah man, we're already in creative mode, so he's already on it. And then my man, obviously, Rich Lotta, one of the dopest rappers, producers, and wrestler fans as well. Make sure you check out his podcast as well that he does. That's the brother producer of the team. He's been with me and Swerve for 4 years now. And then I already knew me and Top Dollar and B-Fab were already cool. So I was like, hey, you guys want to get on this? And they was like, yeah, send it to us. So they sent me their parts, and the official music video and single will be out March 6th. So I am so excited about this, man, to be able to form Voltron with my friends, and all of us killed the record, man. I am so excited for you guys to hear it, and a lot of people are excited. I've gotten a lot of DMs, and people are ready for it. So I was gonna drop it the 4th before Revolution, but I said, let me do it the day after. So it has that direct impact, and day after the show, you guys can get some new music.
So, like, I like to ask, when I have wrestlers on here, how they put together their matches, or how they put together their character. It's very interesting to me to learn, like, how you put together a song. Like, in my college days, I had a lot of friends that, would make beats, and then they would have, a couple of their friends who would, write their lyrics to the track. How do you kind of, like, what's your process of putting together a song like this? You said, you sent the track over the Swerve and stuff, but how did the process start from just you with coming up with the beat and coming up with your part to this song?
Right. Normally what I do, man, a lot of what I do is my creative process is really different. Some people have to go to the studio to do it. Some people, I've been doing this almost 2 decades, so I kind of have a system on how I do it. Normally, I'll be playing PlayStation, bro, or riding my bike, one of the two. That's normally how it goes, and it'll kind of come to me. You know what I mean? It'll kind of come to me. I'll be listening to music. Sometimes instrumentals will come on YouTube, or I'll just go and search for a certain sound. And this particular record, this particular beat came on, and I was just sitting there playing maybe Hitman or something on PS5 or one of those games, Madden or something, and just started coming to me. Started ideas that started coming to me, and this is before I actually had the concept of what it wanted to be a posse record. And I was like, then words start coming to me, and normally I either write it on my phone or sometimes I do it off memory. It just kind of depends on how I'm feeling. And the idea started coming, and I was like, you know what? This is fire. This is gonna be dope. Sitting there with the concept of just kind of playing video games, thinking stuff always pops in my head. The concept, what I want to talk about. That's normally what I do. I have to be on chill time, or if I do go to the studio, I'll sit there and I already have the concept. I might not have everything 100% written, but I'll have the concept of how I want to do it. So when this started happening, I was like, oh, okay. Something's coming to me. Normally, that's how it is with my whole creative process. It is very random, but I kind of have a system on how I do it.
Yeah, I love when you get a good idea that just comes to you randomly. You're playing a video game, playing with doing stuff with the family, and it just comes to your head like that. And I love the concept of like a posse record. Like, immediately when you said that, I thought of like Wu-Tang and groups like that. And like you said, you've been doing this music thing for 2 decades now. And another thing that I like to do with wrestlers is like, who inspired you to get into music? Was it like an artist or a song? What do you remember like when you first started making music yourself?
So my mentor, rest in peace, Sharmelo Durant, he produced Busta Rhymes, Put Your Hands on My Eyes Can See, and he made that. He made a lot of songs for P.D. Pablo and a lot of Bell Biv DeVoe back in the 80s. He did a lot of production. So he's a legend, man. Shout out. They recently passed away. The guy who him and my granddad were the reason why I started making music, and both of them are now, with the Lord. So God bless them. I have to shout them out. Yeah. But, man, I remember, I don't want to date myself too bad, but, back in high school, man, I graduated high school in 06. I started rapping in 04. I was a sophomore. And that's back at the time when CDs were still around. CDs, and you could get like burn CDs at your house. And I am not advertising pirated music, people. That is not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that at the time it was available to get certain albums and stuff for free, because I didn't have a job back then in high school. I was still working on my schoolwork, so I would burn CDs, listen to music. I have any mixtape, anybody who dropped anything, I had it. And I started studying. I was like, you know what? I think I could do this. And I was terrible at first. Oh my God, I was horrible. I grabbed a spiral notebook, and this is the time when, computers were out, but we were still on during dial-up and stuff at that time.
Yes.
And you young heads don't know about that, being on dial-up and stuff on AIM and AOL Messenger. So I used to battle rap people on there and write my raps to instrumentals, and oh my God, I sounded so bad at first. I mean, I had no structure, but now you know what? I wasn't part of the people from a musical family where your dad's a guitarist or your uncle was this. Nah, I just learned myself. Nice. And I was always, but I also grew up around a lot of different music as well. It wasn't just hip hop. I grew up around rock, Dave Matthews Band, Red Hot Chili Peppers, a lot of soul, Incubus, a lot of soul with Bobby Womack and Aretha Franklin, and Daft Punk on the techno side, and Justin Timberlake R&B, and the boy band, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys. Yeah. You just never, I grew up around a whole bunch of different music, so it kind of helped my range, and I knew the hip hop side of it is probably where I would be really good at. But I listened to a whole lot of music, man, and I would just get in the studio and I would just work. I would just practice and practice and practice. I would listen to other people's how they rapped and emulate their style and put my own words to it. And I was like, you know what, I can do this. So it just becomes muscle memory. It becomes muscle memory at that point. You keep doing it. You keep doing it. I'm pretty sure like with a podcast or with you doing, you kind of have a concept, but after a while, you kind of just go with the flow of conversation and it becomes muscle memory. You don't have to go through everything. I'm pretty sure every question you have written down. Sometimes you learn that the guest will say something so good that you just kind of go with it. But that's muscle memory. That's knowing what you're doing. And I'm pretty sure you do that as well. So, that is my journey in music, man. I took it day by day. I was 14 when I started, recorded in home studios, had different mentors that taught me the game. I was very humble. And one quick story, I remember my mentor, Sean Mello, had me, I picked up the phone and I called him one day. And I rapped to this dude on the phone for 15 minutes. I was rapping to beats over the phone. And that man looked at me and said, okay, what's next? He's like, okay, you could do this, but can you write a song? I was like, damn. My ego at 14, 15 was crushed. I thought I was the man, bro. He's like, nope. He's like, this is nice. He said, this is cool. You can rap to me on the phone. We can sit here all day, but can you write a record? Learned, touche. So after my ego was done being taken out the trash can, what I did was I just kept working, man. Just kept working, brother. That's all. Kept working, and now we're almost 2 decades in.
Man, that's so great. You took me on a trip right there because we graduated the same year. I graduated in '06, and I think I was talking just the other day. I was like, it was the anniversary of Get Rich or Die Trying. I was like, man, I remember playing that so many times during my freshman year of high school. Like I would play the bricks of that, and then talking about the CDs. I remember I had my CD book player with all the CDs where you turn.
Me
the
too,
CD on the
bro.
front, CD on the back.
Me too, bro. Had the CD booklet, the anti-skip CD player, man. The anti-skip CD player, man. And you would have that CD, and you would try to find a way to bring it to school.
Yep.
Without messing up the CDs, and then everybody wonder what you're listening to, and oh my God, man, what a time, bro. What a stage, man. Get Rich or Die Trying, still my favorite.
Got you.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
No worries.
It's still my album 50 Cent, still my favorite. One of my favorite artists, probably number 2. Him and Nas are like my 2 favorites. So I love that project. I know Get Rich or Die Trying front to back, bro.
That one is no skips. I was saying that during the anniversary. That was like no skips on that track. You said your favorite artist is Nas. Favorite Nas album?
It's still his first one. It's still Illmatic.
Yeah.
It's still Illmatic. Like I have his whole catalog, all the King Diseases. I have Godson. I have I Am. I have Nostradamus. I have all his albums. It Was Written. My favorite though is still the first. It Was Written is right there though. Like the next one is right there. It's right there. But my favorite is still phenomenally. It'll be his first one, bro. That was absolutely incredible.
I totally agree with you. My second would be Stillmatic because I just love how he came back with Stillmatic, but I do say Illmatic is number 1 for sure.
Yeah, man. Oh man, Stillmatic. Not besides Ether. I mean, Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
Yeah.
What's that other one? Oh my God. The intro was fire. The intro. Dude, You're the Man. You're the man. Oh my God, bro. Oh, amazing catalog, dude.
That's like where my music. That's where I was in love with music. Like I said, the CD, book players, and all of that. But now you've kind of gone from doing tracks and doing the music in a different front, but now you're doing like music for professional wrestlers, and I know a couple of the AEW stars have used your tracks. I loved your work on the Who We Are AEW album. I was actually earlier today listening to Legend, the Mark Henry story, and my missus, even who's not really a big hip-hop fan, she was like, well, who's that, play that again. So like, how is it kind of the transition from just doing records on an album to making a song for a professional wrestler like Legend, or like some of the tracks that the roster on AEW use in week to week?
Man, it has been a phenomenal journey, man. I started making wrestling music February 28th, 2014, and that was yesterday. I just passed my 9-year anniversary in wrestling music. It's been 9 years, and I started back then. So next year will be 10 years. I got to do something for my 10-year anniversary. I don't know what I'm going
Yeah.
to do, but I got to celebrate that, man. It's 10 years I've been here, bro. So first, I'm still glad to be here because, people can get tired of you, and I'm still around. I'm still building. I've done over 300 theme songs in my career, all over the independents for all these years. Swerve, Moose, Brian Cage, you name it, man. I've done it over these 10 years, and I'm so glad to be here. To do that AEW album, and for Mikey Ruckus to give me create complete creative control on those 3 songs. The one with Jade, the one with Nyla, and the one you mentioned with Mark Henry, which is a banger, amazing record, man. I am so glad and honored to, one, be a part of that project, for Mikey to give up and coming artists, underground artists who might not have the biggest names, but are in the wrestling culture, a great opportunity. And that was a whole lot of fun doing the showcase last year with Desire, doing the Revolution showcase last year, doing that live show, and to be on that stage. And that was amazing, man. I am more than happy and blessed. And thank you for listening to it, brother. Thank you for shouting it out. And, obviously I did Sammy Guevara's music, Take Flight. That is me. When Big Swole was there, I did her music for when she came out. And you know what, man? I'm looking forward to continuing to work, man. There is so much more in the cards for it. So, like I said, me and John Connor just came out. Every time I do a podcast, I like to give an exclusive to the audience for people. I am now about to drop a song called Starcade 83, which talks about the whole pay-per-view of Starcade. I've had this song in the tank for years. I just never put it out. So I shot the video recently. Nice. And I'm going to put it out for the fans. And I'll make sure if you want to, you get the exclusive, you get to debut it first. So you get to debut it on your platform first if you would like to. And yeah, man. So that is my journey in this, bro. I've traveled the world, all over the States, performing wrestling songs, all over the Indies. And dude, I'm just blessed to be here, bro. Especially after all this time.
And it's a good year to come out with that Starcade 83 track, because we're going on 40 years since that event. And that makes me feel old, because when I was a kid, I remember my dad, when I first got into wrestling, he was like, oh, you got to watch this match. You got to watch Ric Flair and Harley Race. That's the wrestling I like. So you have a great year to come out with this track. And as far as working with the wrestlers for their track, like you said, you did Sammy Guevara's track, which is one of the best on the AEW roster, Take Flight. Do you have to talk to the wrestler as far as what kind of sound they like, or do you come to them with a track and be like, I think this works for you? How does the process work with that?
Well, a lot of times, man, I build a relationship with a lot of the guys, or even if I don't, what I normally do, my process has been over these 10 years, or I feel old, is a lot of times I just ask them. I say, hey, man, what do you like? What do what's your concept? What do you want me to talk about? And I've built such a resume that they trust me now. You know what I mean? I don't send them the beat before. A lot of times most of the time, I just wing it. I just go from spirit. I'll kind of look at them. I look at their matches. I look at how they're dressed. I say, okay, he might like something more upbeat, or he might like something sounds like from the South, or he might like something more West Coast. Just depending on just looking at him. Just kind of see. I watch 1 or 2 matches and I kind of just get it. Or I just look on Instagram and look at what they do. And a lot of times I'll have it. And I just go with instinct. So, that's the great thing about it, man, is being able to just kind of go off instinct. And I just ask them, hey, man, what do you want? Do you want me to mention anything you want me to mention? Your signature moves, your gimmick, anything like that? He's like, no, I just say my name and then just say some things about it. I'll say, okay, cool. So a lot of times it's really easy. I've built my own system and how I do it. At first I remember I was writing these songs and I would write them full tracks back in the day, 3 verses. And then I was my homie was like, why are you doing that? They're only going to take a minute and a half to get down to the ring. And I'm like, you're right. So I shortened the process on how I do it, but now it sounds more arena ready. And I started doing it over the years. And I started making music for people at Defy, MCW, Evolve, you name it, man. I co-wrote some stuff behind the scenes for WWE. I've done AEW. I've done Impact. I've touched every single promotion. There's not one promotion where I haven't done some work for. So it's amazing to still be here with that process. But the process has always been really easy. I just kind of had to create my own way of doing it.
Yeah, it sounds like you kind of got it down back. And like you said, with what I do, I remember the days when I would have an interview and I had to put like a 15 or 16 questions on a piece of paper and go through everyone and check them off. And I'm at the point where I just have a conversation and you learn how to listen to people and dictate where the conversation goes. But you mentioned before your relationship with Swerve Strickland, and that is a person that's a prominent name in the wrestling business. How did you guys like meet and create a friendship together that has kind of parlayed into what you do now with the Swerve City podcast?
Yeah, man. Honestly, we met in 2015 at a show on MCW, independent show. I was performing a theme song for another wrestler, and he was in the match. And we met briefly back there, and we had a little bit of a conversation. And my manager at the time, who's the biggest Swerve fan, was actually next to him. We were selling merch next to him. That was 2015. I don't know what I'm selling merch for. Nobody even knew who I was. Actually, 2 people bought a shirt, too, even though they didn't know who I was. Shout out to them. But Swerve's merch was next to me. And we ended up having a conversation real quick, talking. And my manager's going to be like, that's the dude you're going to end up working with, bro. And I didn't believe him. I was like, at the time, it was another wrestler I was working with and just other people. I was like, it's him? I was like, nah. My manager was like, this is going to be the guy you end up working with. Trust me. Lo and behold, that man spoke that into existence. 2 years later, I booked him for an interview on my personal podcast. At the time, it was called the Theme Song King podcast. And he ended up coming. We ended up having a conversation. And during the interview, so like speaking of the interview, so you know how you just spoke about having 15, 16 questions. So I had this paper in my hand. They were all wrestling questions. Before we started recording, he saw me do this. Swerve saw me do this. I took the paper, I crumbled it, and I threw it out. I said, I'm not going to have this type of conversation with this man. And we talked rap and music for we talk rap music and just success in life. And the interview's still out there too. It's crazy because it was the first thing we did together, and it was actually years ago that this happened. It was years ago. And after the interview, he says, "Hey man," he calls me, and he says, "Hey man, do you want to?" He said, "Hey man, I want you to make my theme song," and I was like, "Okay, bro, dope." And then he asked me to do the podcast. He's like, "Can you come to Orlando do the podcast?" I said, "You know what? I'll get there any way that I can, brother. But let's do it." So since 2017, we've been rolling, bro. We've been rolling. I told him, "Hey, man, you never got to worry about me not being there. If I can be there, I will do everything in my power to be there. And I'm loyal to you, brother. And we stay loyal to each other. I appreciate the opportunity. I know this could change my life. And 5, 6 years later, or 2017, 2023, we're still here, bro. We're still here. And, that's my best friend. That's my brother. Love him like cook food, man. And he's changed my life. And I've helped influence his. And obviously, he's creating great music now. He's doing his thing with his own career. So, you know what I mean? I'm glad to have been there for him. And he's been there for me with my media and changed my whole life in media, bro.
Yeah, and so much success to the Swerve City podcast. One of my favorites to kind of listen to, because you guys go about your, speaking to whoever you have on the show, or just speaking to each other. It sounds like it's like me and my friends chatting a lot of times. That's why I enjoy it. And even if you're, just meeting the person you're interviewing, you kind of get them into the flow and they get into the conversation like they're a friend of yours as well. And you've kind of gone through so many, peaks and highs of success with the Swerve City podcast, including being on the WWE network. How did that opportunity come to you? And then what was your kind of your thought process as far as like when it was kind of had to be taking off the WWE network when they made the transition?
Well, the great thing about what Swerve's vision for the podcast and what he had was, he always wanted to take it to a next level. We always have a plan of taking this to a bigger level and by sustaining it, because consistency is the main key to all this. It's going to go through, like you said, peaks and valleys. And what you have to understand about life and success and all things according to is that how can you remain around during the valleys?
Yeah.
How can you one-to-one? Eventually, you're not going to be the new toy. I call it the Woody and Buzz Lightyear concept. Eventually, there's a Buzz Lightyear every year that comes in the room, and he gets to do something different than what Woody is. You know what I mean? And you have to understand that eventually you're going to be Woody in any situation if you do it long enough. And there's going to be a Buzz Lightyear around all the time. And you have to understand that concept of being able to work. And that's the thing with the podcast. We went to the WWE Network. They hit us up. They were interested in the podcast. We were already making noise when he was with the WWE. They wonderfully offered us an opportunity to come on the network. And we did it, man. We did it. We had guests every week. We had a great concept of what we were doing. We had a flow. And we can say that we actually was on the network together. That's something that I can sit back and say, you know what, man, I was on the WWE Network, bro. Like, dreams have come true. We had great content at that time with people who were on there. A lot of people was watching the show. Just to be able to turn on the WWE Network and see yourself, dude, you're like, wow, we really did it. And it was a great concept. And we had some great episodes, some great content during that time. I wish we could drop on YouTube those episodes. It was an amazing season. And then when, circumstances happened and we had to take the podcast, we just started moving, kept moving. Like, hey, we ain't going to stop. You know what I mean? We're back on YouTube. We're going to keep going. Then my bro ended up getting signed at AEW. I ended up getting AEW contracts for music. And we kept going. So now we're here again. We're here for our sixth season. We're continuing to push. Now we got the music we're putting out. Now, we have different things that we're blogs, different things that we're doing. And the podcast is still going. As you see, we just recently had Kenny. We've had, Tony Khan. We've had Tony Storm. Now we've had a lot of AEW people on our show. And we just keep moving, bro. We have a system on how we do it, and it doesn't stop, man. Consistency is the main key, is to keep going. That's the only thing that's going to keep you around. And, once people, like I just said, once people recognize they're comfortable being Woody in the room and just being that veteran that's been around, that Buzz Lightyear feeling stays for about a year or two, dude. And then you have to rely on the work, bro. That's the only thing that's going to keep you around, is doing the work and reinventing yourself too, learning when to switch things up too.
Yeah, I definitely know all about that, and people that follow our channel know we went from kind of doing this podcast in like my friend's bedroom to now on StreamYard, being in different places, having different families. So definitely understand that type of like process. As far as like the guests that you have on, whether you were on the WWE Network or now on the Swerve City podcast YouTube channel, what would you say is like the most fascinating person or interview that you did, that you were probably expecting one thing and you kind of learned a totally different thing from the interview?
Roderick Strong was very interesting. He was good. Me and him connected. My man, Ludwig from the Imperium, a great guy. We actually remain friends to this day. Damian Priest, great interview. Learned a lot from him. Charlotte Flair was amazing. Learned a lot from her. Very humble, very, 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 very good interview. Samoa Joe, very laid back, very chill, very laid back. I could say the most that I studied from and that I understand him, because he kind of thinks in a way where it's like very cerebral, but you understand why he is who he is Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho is always above in his thought process. He's always 3 steps ahead of everybody else. And I love sitting there talking to him and just listening. And I'm like, there's the reason why this guy is the best. There's a reason. Like he really is amazing. And sitting back, not during the interview, but seeing how he does his music, his crews, his acting, he's the best, bro. Honestly, out of everybody, I've learned the most from Chris. Just being next to his energy and absorbing who he is. You see why he is where he is. And he's the best. And I study that man. Just because he's always around. He's always going to find a way. Whether you like him or not, the man has been relevant for decades. And you can't teach that. Can't teach it.
So as far as like getting, these guests, I know Swerve kind of has the advantage of being in the locker room with a lot of the people that you speak to. Is there like any times that you have kind of had to do the legwork as far as like getting a guest for the show, or is it just primarily kind of a mutual thing where, Swerve gets some, you get some? How does that work out for you guys?
Yeah, that's normally how it works. Especially I try to handle the people outside of wrestling. A lot of times, a lot of the guests that I end up getting, like if you've seen like Donnell Jones, Music Soul Child,
yeah,
those are people that I normally handle because I reach out to people outside of the wrestling platform, and I try to get us branding people on the show that really can help us on that side of things to get them on the show. So sometimes a lot of the people that you see outside of wrestling, a lot of times I try to handle. And sometimes he does too, but a lot of the wrestling people is the people that he know. So, those direct relationships, he's able to bring them in. I'm normally trying to handle outside of. We had Michael Cooper, battle rapper DNA on the show, those people that I brought in, John Connor, you know what I mean? Relationships that I built that I was able to get people. And Swerve has the wrestling thing on lock. So a lot of times we 50-50, man. And we have a positive competition where he tries to outdo me on who he can bring on the show. And I'm like, nah, man, I want to bring so-and-so. And we was just going back and forth. We go back and forth. It's positive just to keep our juices flowing and keeping that fun. You know what I mean? Keeping like, I can get this person. I can get that. He's kicking my ass right now because a lot of these people outside of the platform, they're different kind of people. Oh man, I'll do this and I'll do. They're kind of different. But people in wrestling, oh man, he's got that. He knows them. I gotta go with the flow on that. But I try to, on the outside, try to reach out and get a bunch of people like that helps to brand and build relationships outside of wrestling. So, man, that's our process, bro. And we have a lot of fun doing it, man. It's a lot of fun.
One of my favorites outside of wrestling that you got was Lisa Ann. Was that you?
No, that was Swerve. But let me tell you something, brother. I know why your favorite was Lisa Ann.
I mean, people.
Brother,
I'm happily taken now, but my good old days.
Listen, good old days, brother. Listen here, good old days, and this. That's it, brother. That's it. That's all I needed. Like that. Woo! I hear about that episode all the time from the fellas. Trust me, yes. That was a Swerve poll. But I tell you one thing, brother. Lord have mercy. Was that a great interview sitting next to that woman there? Good Lord, I found myself just looking at her sometimes like, yo, I got to do an interview. Like, I was like, wow, this woman is gorgeous, yo. I was like, all right, man. All right. But then all the content pops into your head and you're just like, man, you know what, man? I just have to keep it professional here. She's very nice, very wonderful woman. Shout out to her. I know her birthday just passed. She's the greatest of all time. And for many reasons. And, shout out to her, man. Shout out to the queen.
Absolutely. Yes, I can only imagine being right there and having the content pop into your head. Oh,
dude,
I don't know if I could do that interview. So I admire you for keeping the focus. Now you and
she walks in the room. She by herself. She's really cool. She one of the fellas, and it's just like, yo, where these women be at? It's like, yo, you don't find these women like this. It's like she knows sports. She knows video games. She one of the homies. You're just like, you know what, man? She cool, man. Like, what's up, man? Like, you don't find that. You don't find that very often. And she's She's dope, man. Gave us a 2-hour interview, man. Amazing.
Love it, man. So I know you're already in this interview. You let us know you got prices went up, dropping this week. Just that posse track. You got the Starcade 1983 track with John Connor coming up as well. So, what other projects or anything that you want to let the people know here on this platform that you got in the waiting that they should be on the lookout for?
Oh yeah, man. I continuously work, man. I'm going to when you dropping this interview.
We're dropping it the week after Revolution. So
Okay, cool. So I got some special other theme songs for some other things I'm dropping later this month, man. I'll tell you off camera. Some great stuff that I'm working on here, man. That is going to be a little bit different from wrestling, but they'll get it and they'll understand it. I am working on my project. Erica's Son 2 is done. It has been promoted for the past 2 years. I am finally done. It will have some amazing content. 15 tracks on the album. Swerve's on it. John Connor's on it. My man Anthony King's on it. Rich Lotta. I mean, Rich Boy, Music Soul Child. Great guests. All-star cast has come to be on this project. The Queen Kristen Warren, great soul singer. I'm so happy at that project, man. Swerve's dropping his project sometime in the summer. Sometime we both don't have a definitive release date for our projects, but I did some co-writing and executive producing on the whole project for him on his album. We are, and we'll get another Swerve City album in there. We dropped 3 tapes, third Swerve City album, so we'll be back with this time. We have to build our brand separately to make it even bigger when we come back together. That's how it goes. Um, and he's a star, man, so he should have his time to, enjoy his solo success. Also too, I would like to announce, the next season of TC's Table's coming. Got some great guests coming. Obviously, I previously announced Sean Porter. I have some great guests for this upcoming season. I'm stocking up content now. I would also like to do, I'd like to do I like to invite you to my Teases Table show, because I'm gonna do an all African American, wrestling panel where I get like five of the top guys in what they do in wrestling, and have us all have a conversation. I interview all you guys together about your wrestling opinions, and I'd love for you to join that platform if you'd want to.
I would love to.
And lastly, I'd like to make this announcement too, is that me and my brother, who I recently introduced to the wrestling world, my brother Anthony King, are working on a wrestling EP together. So my brother Anthony King, who's doing the wrestling rap AEW recaps, he is me and him are now in the studio working on a new wrestling album together. So it's gonna be dope, man. I like to do collab tapes. I like to do my solo stuff. I got Stark 83, Price went up. I have a track for Randy Orton I'm working on. So I'm always working, bro. I just stay busy, and man, I'm just blessed to be here 10 years later, bro.
Man, I love the success that you got, in the wrestling world, outside of the wrestling world, man. This is honestly, you put a smile on my face with so many things you said throughout this interview. So I love this chat that we were able to do. So this won't be the last time that we speak to each other. I want to definitely speak to you some more, and I'm definitely down to be on TZ's Table. You're doing great work over there, Swerve City Podcast, TZ's Table. Everything you're doing is great. So definitely, I want to let the people know to follow this, man. Let the people know where they can follow you on social media and where they can listen to Prices Went Up that is dropping this week.
Yes, you guys follow me at TZ Jones on all social media platforms. I have many different gimmicks. A lot of people wonder where their Lord Raiden thing comes from, and the theme song king, the Titan. I have many different names. I'm now going by Slick Finley. So Slick Finley is now my nickname. Is now another one of my nicknames. So Fit Finley got Slick Finley. I'm Slick Finley, and we're working, man. I'm continue to work, man. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, youtube.com/Swerve City Podcast. On Twitter at Swerve City Pod. You follow me at TZ Jones on everything. The Instagram, TZ Jones. The podcast is Swerve City Podcast Official. Follow us on Instagram. You can listen to Price One Up on all distribution platforms. Shout out to the whole podcast team, Siren, our director, all the X visuals with the editing, Mike Simmons, who was always a part of the podcast team. He recently got a job at AEW and relocated to Tennessee, so he got the job strictly from the podcast. So we're happy that we were able to give that platform, and now he's got a job to feed his family, and that's what we do here. We build other kings, and we take care of our people. And also, too, last but not least, I want to shout out Lisa Ann too. Shout out Lisa. Shout out Lisa Ann, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Lisa Ann. If you're watching this, thank you for all the years of content. But thank you so much, Monteasy. This has been, like I said, a chat that put a smile on my face, getting me some positive vibes for the rest of the day. So go out of your way, follow this man, check out the new track. Prices went up. It's gonna be a banger. So you got to listen to it after you hear this interview here. And in the description down below, you got all his social media platforms as well as the Swerve City Podcast. So check out everything that this man is doing. So this has been Tru Heels BTR, between the ropes, between the raps with Monteasy. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3, signing off until next time.